Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Live here with Eddie. Eddie Makes Art. Hi, Rosemary. Hope you're doing well this morning. Well, morning for me. It's only 11 a.m. here on the East Coast of the USA. Let me know where you are in the world. Say hello in the chat so I can say hello back. And if you are having issues chatting, it's because you're not subscribed to the channel. So before you do anything else, hit the like button, subscribe, and within a minute, you'll be able to chitty chat with all the folks in the chat who are lovely. And today, as the title suggests, I'll be gel printing. Shocker. But I think, hi, Becky. But I want to go over some basics as well, or también, in the gel printing. Plus, I've got a new stencil that I want to show you that I have gotten from the pmartiststudio.com. Actually, there's two new ones by fellow designers. So I'll show you those and we'll play around with those. These are just a couple of gel print scrap collages I did the other day, just um, cleaning up some of the stuff around my desk and had the gel medium out, so I went ahead and just glued these down. Um, Hi, Jeanette. Youngstown, Ohio. Love it. I've only been to Columbus, Ohio. All right, so I've got my roll off sheets here. Let's start with the fresh side. I am just going to take my time here while people start rolling in. Hi, Ricky. How are you? I know where you are, Ricky. It's got to be hot down there. I'm going to use the big, I'm going to start with the large gel plate today. This is a 12 by 14. Let's see if I can get this straight. There we go. Woohoo! That is hot, Ricky. That is hot. Hi, Zal. Welcome. Okay, I need to move some stuff around here. I actually took everything off my desk this morning, dusted it, and wiped it down. Gave it a good old going over. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Carla. You can watch on the big TV. Yeah. What has he gone to the store for? Let us know. Hi, Kathy. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Belinda. Good morning. I'm going to get this gum out of my mouth. It's not good to speak and chew gum at the same time. It's not nice. Okay. 105. That's in Arizona, Rosemary. I believe Ricky is just outside of Phoenix. I could be wrong, but I believe she's outside of Phoenix. Yeah, that part of the country over there is in the midst of a heat wave. Over here, it's getting cold again. All right, so let me show you the stencils that I will be playing with today. I have two. This is Tiger Motif. This is from designed by Joan Marone. Sun City West, 20 degrees higher than normal. Yeah. Sounds lovely. So see what I do here is on the stencil, I go ahead and pencil just so I remember. This is my cheat sheet. I write on the stencil the name, the size, and the designer. So this is Tiger Motif by Joan Marone. I believe it comes in the 9x12 mask, and then an 8x10. I'm not sure if it comes in the smaller mask, but on the PM Artists website you can check that out. Hi, Kat. How are you? Here, this one is called Wood Rose. This is the 9x12, and it's designed by Christy Hartman. Another one of her fantastic flower stencils. So we'll be using those two. I'm going to start with the tiger motif. Hi, Mariah. We'll go over some basics here. So these stencils that I use, these are Yupo. They're 74-pound Yupo, and they are sticky. They like to stick to things. So if you see here, and I know some of you already know this, but this is for those folks who either have never gel printed before or new to it, or have never used a Yupo stencil before. So I'm going to go over some basics and that sort of thing, sort of like a refresher course for some of y'all too. Tambien. So yeah, it's a sticky surface, meaning it likes to adhere to things. The gel plate, which is good, that's ideal. Paper, which is not. So we'll go over some things to try and avoid those situations, like with the paper sticking and all that. I'll go over some different papers I'm using today. And then also let's discuss different kinds of paints. First stencil order on its way. I love it, Rosemary, love it. So there are different types of acrylic paints. Obviously, there's like these are heavy body. There is fluid acrylics like these. Yupo is 100% plastic. No, yeah, Yupo is not paper. Yupo, this stuff is like you can use it for alcohol inks as well. So it's sturdy, right? But it also has, like, when you cut it out into designs, it's going to have some stress points. You got to be careful when handling it. I know, right? Well, it wasn't that I was shy about going live, it's that I didn't have the opportunity that I do now. It was harder as far as like scheduling it and just doing it. So, but yeah, I'm getting better the more I do it, aren't I, Carla? I love it. Um, Hi, Mary Ellen. So, okay, paints. So there's fluid acrylics, there's high flow acrylics, there's open paint. Open paint is a brand specific category to golden paints, but it's a slow drying acrylic. If you don't have access to those, you can purchase something called a retarder or an extender for your acrylic paints. It's an additive that you add to, let's say I want to make this Liquitex Basics acrylic stay open longer so I have more time to mess around. You get add some of this stuff here to your paint. It will what's the word I'm looking for? Good word is it will the it'll spread out the pigment, meaning it won't be as true to this color because you're adding something, obviously. Um, but that all depends on how much you add. It'll make it a little bit thinner to paint as well. Um, so there's an option for you as well. So if you feel like you want to work longer with your paints, get you some open paints or get some retarder or extender. This is the Blick artist brand, and it works just fine for me. I've been using it for a long time, and it works just great. I like to mix it on a separate palette or plate So because what will happen is if you put this stuff directly onto the plate and then you brayer it with the regular paint, it's gonna leave like a schmear. It's gonna leave like a clear, sort of like a slick mark, which you may not want for your final print. So be aware. Do it on a separate plate and then transfer the paint to where you're working. Hi, Joni. Do you recognize this? We're using one of yours today. All right. So we discussed the acrylics, extender. There are also we're talking about, heavy body, medium body, the fluid, the high flow. There's also transparent paint. There's also there's opaque paint. There's semi-opaque, semi-transparent. And usually the container will indicate what the particular paint is. And it's also important to swatch your paints out so you know how they're going to look. Like, for example, this is a fluorescent blue. And you see here, it's got the little square down there next to the pigment. The pigment is S2. And then the squares, it's empty at the top. And then the bottom half or the other triangle is solid. So to me, that's a semi opaque. So what you can do if you don't have swatch stickers, there are swatch stickers available at PMR Studio. You can purchase those there. But you can see if I just spread it out with my finger, that to me says more semi-transparent than it does semi-opaque. You can really see the paper through that. Hello, Soul. Welcome. And then we have, what's this one? This is this one has the solid square. That to me right away says opaque. Now, like Mariah had said in the chat a few minutes ago, when you add retarder or extender to a paint, it's going to add to the transparency of the paint. So if I were to add extender to this, it could make it a little bit more transparent, but overall it's gonna be an opaque paint. Hello, Gina. Hi, Karen. Were you talking about me? My ears were burning. All right, so you see here, this is the yellow ochre. It's opaque, and you can see you can't really see the paper through there. So there you go. Then you have, is this transparent? Okay, so this is the orange, quinacridone burnt orange. And on the back, oof, it's hard to see. Where's my tool here? I know I got it. Open this. Got me some pliers. Hi, Sandy. All right, so the back here, it's hard to see, but there's a little square up there next to Series 4, and it's empty or hollow or open, meaning this is transparent. That's what they classify it as. You can see here and spread it. Definitely more on the transparent. Definitely transparent. You can see right through there. Yeah, Mariah, I'm testing something out as per your query. So we're gonna leave it there for now. With your pig, here's another transparent paint. This is permanent rose. Again, it's not always in the same part depending on the manufacturer. So depending on where what manufacturer you use, you want to look at the different parts of the bottle to find the indication of transparency or opaqueness. So this is an open square, so that says transparent. Okay. Sorry, I got some of the thicker part there too. It's kind of drying out, so let me see if I can get a better sample. There we go. You see it's pretty transparent. One of those really nice pinks. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Welcome, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button. It goes a long way to help. And then we have paints like these. These are more of on the lower end of the price spectrum of paints, acrylic paints, but just as good, I think, in for many uses. So these are by Essential by Royal Langnickel. They don't have an indicator as to transparency or opaqueness. So these are definitely ones that you would want to swatch out if you're not sure. So let's show you here. So this is what is called Cad Orange. I'm going to call that opaque because you see how it's very similar to the yellow ochre in opaqueness. Hi, Jennifer, calling in from Melbourne, Australia. Aw, thanks so much for joining us live. I love it. And then we have, here's another one by the same company. I'll paint bogeys going on there. So we'll see here. So to me, this is kind of more on the semi-transparent, semi-opaque line, but it can lean more opaque depending on how thick you roll it out. That's the other thing. Sometimes if you roll out or brayer out a paint thin enough, you can kind of get it more transparent than not. But that doesn't work with every paint, obviously. And that's why it's always important to play with your paints and experiment, try different combos, different papers. That's how you're going to get to know your paints. Also, hi, Paula K. Welcome. Another thing to consider is your environment. So earlier I was talking to Ricky Nordmeyer, who is out in Arizona, where it's 105 degrees today, but it's a dry heat out there. Your paints are probably going to dry a heck of a lot quicker. Some people will employ the use of a humidifier in their studio or art space so that you can kind of not avoid it drying so quickly, but kind of pull it back. Extender will help that as well, obviously. Now, in a more humid climate, your paints are going to take longer to dry. So, like, if you ever watch one of Fran Baker's live videos where she gel prints, her paints will stay open a very long time, even the fluids, because she is in a very humid climate in the UK or damp. I don't know how else to describe it. So yeah, weather is a factor in this. Also, do you have a fan running? Are you in the air conditioning? Do you have direct? Are you near sunlight? Things like that. So that's another reason you want to experiment with your paints, try different things, different combos, different thicknesses. But don't let it discourage you if it doesn't go exactly the way you want it to. I think when you first start gel printing, it's probably a good idea to take notes on what you're doing, as far as the steps you're taking, maybe the combos of paints you used or techniques or the paper, so that you can refer to it later and it's sort of like a diary of what you've been doing, and to keep track of your different experiments, let's say, right? So hope I'm not going too fast. I hope it's information that's important. I know, like if I said, for a lot of you, this is just secondhand already. But there's a lot of folks out there who may be watching, maybe not in the chat, who want to know more about the basics of gel printing. Maybe they're intimidated by it. Maybe they want to give it a try, but they need to know. They need some more information. So I'm trying to get those people involved as well. Um, because when I first started gel printing, I had great teachers. I had Carrie, who's very good, Carrie the Crafter, who's very good at explaining his process and what he does and how he does it. And then from there, went over to PM Artist Studio, who are equally good at explaining things and doing different techniques and experimenting and showing you how to do things the right way, and sometimes they go wrong, and that's okay because that's how we learn as well, right? So you see me in different lives or whatever where paper sticks or something rips, or but you keep going, because that's just a learning experience in the process. You can't just give up because of that. That's just nuts. You don't want to do that. All right, so let me move some of this stuff out of my way. And let's get some paint on this plate. Oh, wait, paper. Let's talk about paper. All right. So today I have the standard that I use, the 28-pound Hammermill color copy paper. And I say all those words because it's important. It's not just the basic copy paper. If you can hear that, it's a little thicker. It's got a bit of a coating to it. It's heavier. So it's going to stand up a little better than your standard 20-pound inkjet printer paper type of thing, right? I also use that same paper for brayer offs. I just got some more tea bag paper from Graham. I had some of my own and I used it all, but he was kind enough to send me some. And this is what it looks like. Now, this is a little bit thicker than the one I used before. So as you can see, feel that? And it has oftentimes papers will have two sides. They'll have a toothier side and then a smoother side. I've always found that putting the smoother side down on the plate tends to work better for me, but I've done it both ways. Usually it's okay. But like I said, I found it works better when I use the smoother side. So we have the tea bag paper, Hammermill paper. I've got some of my favorite Yasutomo sketch paper. This is 9 by 12. It comes in a pack of 48 sheets, made in Japan. Again, it's got a smooth side and it's got a toothy side. I like to use the smooth side to pull my prints on, and they pull phenomenally with that. And then we have some Carnival wet strength tissue. Spent the day cutting up a bunch. This stuff is great because, as it says in the name, wet strength, it is strong. It holds up to all kinds of moisture. It was originally made to create like lanterns, like lanterns. And so it's very strong. It's very hard to tear. You can tear it, but it's very strong. Now, if you do want to tear it, there is a grain on here. So if you go one way, and you got to play with it. If you go one way, it's not going to tear. It's going to be all chunky bits. If you go a different way, it will tear a lot easier. Um, it won't stick like a a regular tissue paper, like the tissue paper that you get in a gift or something. This is not that. This is a whole different ball game here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Carnival wet strength tissue. There are links below to all different stuff, including, I believe, the Carnival wet strength tissue. If not, um, I'm sure somebody can put a link in the chat to some Carnival wet strength tissue. Otherwise, they have a website, Carnival. I believe it's Carnival Tissue is the website, um, and they ship from the UK and from the US. So depending on where you are. Let me take a peek at chat. I see a lot of action going on over here, which I love. Yeah, don't give up in art. It's 2 a.m. in Melbourne, but I'm up for a midnight snack. Yeah, everybody needs refreshers. And I saw Gina says, yes, good advice. Never give up. I've been painting for 30 years and still have lots to learn. And I think that goes for any field, anything that you do, really. You should always be willing to learn. Jennifer says, as a beginner, I find everyone has different styles. Eddie suits me well and he explains everything well. Thank you. I appreciate that. A little bit thicker than I would have expected for tea bag paper. Yeah, that's exactly, Kathy. Like the one I originally had was more like the tissue paper, and this one's a little thicker. So they come in, these papers, they come in different thicknesses and sizes, and that's another reason it's good to play around and try them all. Um, yeah, Sutomo is really expensive in Australia at the moment because it's often being sold via. Yeah, unfortunately, that is out of the control of a lot of the manufacturers, and that's all I'll say on that. You need to get some of that for your lanterns. Yeah. Yeah, Carla. And you don't have to get they sell different amounts. You can get, just a small packet to play with. Yeah. I mean, but even in Australia, I'm sure there's other options that you can check out that, maybe it's the same thing as we have here, but they're called different things, you know. So you never know. And if you discover something that, in Australia that you like. And we have a lot of, I know I have a lot of Australian viewers who are always looking for, more local options as opposed to having to order it from another part of the world. So if you ever have that sort of info, a good place to drop that info is over on Makers, where I'll post stuff. I'm part of that group with PM Artist Studio, who runs it, and that's a great place to share that kind of information and also ask that information. So if you are, you have queries, that's a good place to go. All right, Eddie, enough talking. Let me get this stencil. All right, we'll do some pulls with this. So shown earlier, this is the one of the latest designs by Joan Marone, who's here in the chat. She's a PM Artist Studio designer. And I write on the stencil with a pencil, Tiger Motif. This is the 9x12 mask by Joan Marone. So that's what we're going to use. My plate today is a 12x14. Take your brayer, go over the stencil so it's good contact. Ads popping up. Let me go ahead and turn those off. Give me just uno momento. I have too many windows going here. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. That should fix that. It did. Yeah, I had the ads on. So I was trying something, guys. Let's see if this works. I've been playing with the with the Nightbot. I don't know if that's gonna work or not. It's not. It didn't like me the last time I used it, but hopefully it's not bothering you guys when you chat. Last time it was like very restrictive, and it's because I had all these restrictions that I left on that I didn't turn off. So there you go. Okay. Where's the other paper? And here's the other paper that I've been using. Forgot to tell you, is the medical exam paper. Comes in those big rolls. I cut it down to suit my needs, but it comes in this big roll here like this. Um, and it's very inexpensive, but it works well. So I pulled this morning, just cleaning off one of the plates. Um, it didn't need to dry for that long. Pretty strong, but it does tear. It's, you gotta be careful because this one does tear, unlike the wet strength. But like the wet strength, it's got the grain where, see, I went this way and it tore straight. If I go this way, it's not going to tear like that. It's going to come off more in chunks. So there you go. But with most paper, that's the case because Mariah can explain paper better. She's the paper queen, the paper knowledge queen. I don't know all the techie words, but most papers have grains that go one way and the other, and all that. Okay, let's get Joni going here. And I'm gonna start with this one. I pulled this out because I haven't been using it, and I want to use it more. The quinacridone burnt orange from Sennelier. Ah, here I'm just gonna put a little bit there. That's a little more, but that's okay. We can probably get a couple of prints off of this. Gremlin, get out of here. That's a beautiful color. It looks more red on screen, but it's got more of an earthy tone to it in person. Let me use a piece of hammer mill paper. Now, hammer mill paper, regular, your copy paper, stencil Yupo with one thin layer of paint. You don't want to leave it on very long. You got to move quickly because if not, it's going to stick. I'm not going to let it stick to show you because that's not the point of this. But if I had left that down any longer, it would have stuck. You can see, yeah, nothing stuck, but it could have. And that would have been a pain in the butt. But if that ever happens, don't freak out. Pull off whatever paper you can, and then just take your stencil and soak it in some water. If you have Murphy's oil, add a little of that, or Dawn detergent, or any dish detergent you may have. Add a little bit of that. Let it soak. The paper will come off. Don't scrub at the stencil. Um, Gently rub on it, and it will take care of that. So, but look at that. Isn't that fun color? And again, this is a Tiger Motif by my fellow designer, Joan Miron. This is the medical exam paper I'm using to clean up here. And you don't necessarily have to take everything out. I'm not doing a long haul, but I'm going to do a few prints so you can see how the Yupo behaves. So that was in a transparent paint. And that, let's see. Let's go with. Here, let's try this heavy body paint, Liquitex. Maybe do this yellow light Hansa. Some of that. This is a heavy body. Looks like a lemon yellow. From that blue. It's purple. A little magenta on here. Okay. Don't be afraid to mix colors. See what you get. If you are intimidated by mixing colors, get yourself a color wheel and keep it handy. That's going to help you. It'll help you figure out what goes with what's complementary and what's not. All right, let's get this down. Again, you don't want to leave this down too long. You don't want to rub super hard. Frottage lightly. Oui? Bon. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, Mariah's being Morai. You guys are silly. So see how fun that is? Now you see it pulled up some of that color that was already on the stencil from the first color, the quinacridone burnt orange. So that's another thing with the Yupo stencil. It loves to give back. Once you've given it some love, it'll give back. But that's great print right there. Yeah, Mo is the queen of the link dropping, but you're doing a great job, Mariah, and I truly, truly appreciate your help. Let's see. Let's get some blue on here. Just for shiznels and gignels. This is ultramarine. This is transparent. And I need my tool again because these lids are impossible. There we go. There we go. It's always a different way to skin a cat, right? Did I say the name of the color? This is ultramarine blue. It's transparent by Winsor Newton. Their Galleria acrylic collection. Don't trip, Karen, as you're running to your studio. You don't want any gel plating injuries. Why did that color surprise you? Karen says ultramarine is one of those colors that surprised me. Why? This is like school. I'm gonna make you explain your answers in a fully thought out way. All right, let's use some Carnival wet strength tissue. Now, this is the Carnival wet strength. And I'm going to use a paper towel here. That's going to keep your hands from getting all painty because the paint will come through a little bit. You see? But don't worry. Now, you see, I'm rubbing hard on this. This is not lightly like we were doing with the hammer mill paper. But because I have the confidence that this is the wet strength tissue, it's not going to stick on me. but it will give fabulous results. See that? It's so pretty. Yeah. Yeah, well, I know for that particular ultramarine, it's transparent. I'm trying to think if I have other ultramarines that are not, which I don't think so, because this is transparent. And that's by Amsterdam, and I know I have got here. This is the ultramarine fluid acrylic, and it is transparent. Shows you right there. That's the thing with golden is they do their own swatching there for you, but it's still important to swatch for yourself too. Okay. We'll do another one with some wet strength tissue. Let's go into the fluid acrylic. Let's go to here. Let's do some of this violet oxide. This is violet oxide. It is a opaque, but it's a beautiful earthy toned paint. Oh yeah, things made by hand are definitely going to cost you more, but there's a reason that you're paying more. Obviously, you're paying for labor. You're paying for a higher quality product and product that's going to be more unique than not. Now, the other reason I like to use the paper towel is when it helps to get into the nooks and crannies of the stencil as you're frotaging over the paper. Get in there. So, and look at what's going on here. That's what a fluid acrylic will do with Yupo is it will pull back anything that's on here. Um, especially when you're using when you rub down on it hard, it's gonna release more. But that's important to know when to do that and with which paper. If I were to do that with the hammer mill paper, there wasn't enough paint on the stencil where it would keep the paper from sticking. Okay. But look at that. It's a great papers here with the stencil. So I'm gonna pull this up. Now we've got a beautiful little outline there. I'll give that a few minutes to dry and then we can do a final print on that. Um, I had my nephew over here last night for a little while. I had a babysit um, while while he waited for his dad to get home. Um, and he played around with my new stencil, the Sweet Crescents, and this is what was left over. Oops. He loves metallics. He's using all the metallics he could find. So I pulled it with this light blue metallic. I think it's the ice blue. And this is medical exam paper, which wrinkles, so it leaves behind a lot of goodness on the plate for us to play with. Oh, I put his stuff away. Otherwise, I'd show you. Let me see if I can find one. Nope, nope, nope. Here they are. So these are ones he did last night. So he chooses the colors and everything. All I do is I kind of guide him, but he chooses the colors. He loves the shiny. The problem is he takes too long to decide on the paint, so the paints start drying. So I'm like Mariah with her poker. Hurry up, let's go. That paint's drying. Go, move faster, faster. Paper down. Um, it gets all funny. But yeah, so we did a little session last night. And he saves all those prints. I keep them for him, and then when he, until they dry or whatever, or come off the plate, and then when he comes back again, he'll take them up and put them in his room. Hi, Shannon. How are you? Oh, thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. The one I just pulled, that reddish one, or this one. This is the one. This is what my nephew left on the plate that I did this morning. I put down a pull color this morning. This is the last one I pulled off the plate with the this one here, tiger motif stencil. Just water today. I've been dehydrated, so I gotta drink water. Let's get. Let's see how much of this we can get off of here before I go on to the next stencil. Use the fluid acrylic here. Let's use some of this. This is the gold green. Come on. Get a little bogey in here. Come on. Get out of there, bogey. All right. Come on. For this one, you see it's breaking up, cellularizing, spreading, whatever you want to call it. It happens because of first of all, it's fluid acrylic. Also, so there's more moisture in it. Also, it reacts with the oils on the plate. So you get that sort of thing going on. But that's okay because we love it. See here. And they dry quickly. The fluid acrylics, they tend to dry faster. Um, some of this is not coming up because I talk too much. Hi, Lori. Welcome. But Wait till you see this print. Oh my gosh. Hi, Elizabeth. Let's look at this. See, you can't create that if you wanted to. This is like a natural thing, but it's a very springy vibe print. Very cool. You could totally turn these into like clusters of trees or stuff or things, you know? Very cool. All right. I'm gonna leave whatever's on there, and we're gonna get Miss Christy Hartman's stencil. This is called Wood Rose. This is the 9x12. Again, we're working with UPO stencils. If you've never worked with a UPO stencil, it is a different creature than Mylar. It likes to stick to things and it likes to release things. So, you got to play around with it and get to know it. Also, you want to be gentle. You can't go ripping up this stencil like that, especially one with an intricate design like this. You want to be careful when you lift it. Otherwise, you'll rip it. Now, you can repair it if you want to. You can always, what do you call that? Use a little washi tape um, to fix your connection. That's usually what works for me. And once you get a couple of layers down on the paint, you won't really have an issue with it, you know? Um, I've done that to a couple, trust me. It's medical paper. Let me get this out of my way. I don't want to break it. All right. So with Christie's stencil here, let's start. What shall we start with? Hi, Jen. Hi, Jamie. Yeah. The vernal equinox is tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 20th. Sorry, I'm just looking at my colors. I haven't used this in a while. I'm gonna use some of the sap green. Hi, Martha. Welcome. Oops. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay. Again, that is sap green. This is the Amsterdam. I'm going to add some of this stuff here, this gold green in the fluid acrylic. Let's mix this up. Another way to experiment with the different, by mixing paints of different viscosities, you know. This was a regular medium body paint with a fluid paint. See how, those react. Let me get some paper here. I'm being very risky here using this hammer mill paper as my first pull paper, but I am a rebel and just got to keep in mind, don't rub too long, too much, too hard, and you should be fine. Avoiding any stickage. Plus, I put down enough paint where it's not like it's not going to dry quickly. But look how fun that is. Lots of cool puckering going on. Very nice. Very, very nice. I like it very much. Now I'm going to add some paint here to this. I'm going to add a little bit of this turquoise phthalo. This is the fluid acrylic. Let's get funky up in here. Look at that. Very pretty. All right, so this I'm going to pull with some carnival paper, carnival wet strength tissue, smooth side down. Hi, Darcy. How are you? Darcy's another one of PM Artist Studio's amazing designers. Don't forget, they're doing double points right now. It goes through the 23rd, midnight Central Time, USA. And if you go to their website later, not now, you go later. I know, if you can multitask, that's fine. But, I'd appreciate if you waited. Anyway, there's a fabulous picture there of Queen P from PM Artist Studio that will give you a wonderful giggle. This is the beauty of wet strength tissue. You see how long I rubbed on it for, pulled it, and there's no tearing, there's no ripping, there's no sticking. But look at how beautiful that print is. Very much so beautiful. Okay. I think it's time for a little metallicizing. Let's get metallic-y up in her. Whoa, that's empty. No. Well, let's just use some of this. This is a festive green. Oh, where's the like button? Usually it's right below the actual video part, and you'll see a thumb like a dism, you know. Hi, Z. It was awesome watching you yesterday with your Grammy. I'm so happy you get to spend some time with her. I'm sure she loves it. That's another thing that I really didn't touch upon, but I do like to talk about sometimes is the different types of paints that I use. They're not all golden fluid acrylic. They're not all the high-end paints. Definitely not. Don't be afraid to use all sorts of acrylic paints. Weird things are happening on YouTube. Yeah. YouTube is being a pain in the patooties. All right, I'm gonna see if I can get some of this metallic-y stuff on here. Yeah, so the point of that little side rant is yeah, don't stress out about the quality of paint. First, get to know your how uh get comfortable with the gel plate before you venture into your fancy paints. You know? Some paint on this edge. Don't want to come up. There. Very much so shiny. Yes, YouTube does need more time in the rice. It's still a little damp. Okay, let's get funky. All right. I take color suggestions too, guys. So don't feel you can't suggest a color. I will certainly do my best to make it happen. So from this green, looking here at my paints. Try some of this phthalo blue, fluid acrylic. It's green shade. It's nicely with this, but let's go throw in some transparent red iron oxide. That's what I wanted to do first. Just mix the two colors because they create a really fun combo. Definitely more to the grungy side of things. And I'm gonna pull this with some rice paper here. This is the Yatsutomo sketch paper. Smooth side down. And I don't always do quick pulls with this rice paper, this particular one, but you know what? Let's try it. And this is what I'm doing is they're called quick pulls, meaning I'm not letting them sit on the plate and dry. Woo-hoo, look at that. Now that's a cool combo. Darcy's voice, that's right. Thank you, Mariah. Yes, Mariah says use the paints you have, and then once you get comfortable with the amount and timing, then try new brands and colors. Buying them in small sets is a great way to explore. Yes, I started with this and other craft paints. These particular ones are like 40 cents when I bought them. I mean, and I still use them depending on what I want to use, what I'm doing. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. You know what? Yeah, Sandy, yes. So Sandy says the stereotype of an artist is of a flake dreamer, but you really have to approach things more scientifically, play with the paints, play with the papers, and factor in time with the weather. I think that's with any artist, whatever genre, that's true. You can't be a flake and go on a world tour and perform. You can't be a flake and, you know, build a following like an artist, like a music artist or something, Um, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of practicing, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, there's a lot of experimenting, there's a lot of falling down and getting back up, which goes, I think with anything in life really is just keep at it. You can't give it up. Let me see if I can pull some of this over on here. See, there's still some in there. All right. So let's do someone I saw typed in copper. So let me find some copper here. What's this? That's bronze. Where is my copper? Here we are. Liquitex copper. And I'm using a little bit more paint than usual because the stencil has a lot of openings. So you want to make sure you have enough to get into all your areas. Plus, it's a larger stencil. So I want to make sure I have enough where it's not going to dry out on me as I'm spreading it out. That's the other thing is adjusting to the size of your plate. So if you are used to using, let's say, a 5x7 gel plate, and then you switch over to an 8x10, that is going to take some adjusting. That's going to take some time for you to figure out, okay, I need a little bit more paint, but how much paint do I need? So when I started using these larger plates, the 12x14s, it took a little bit to figure out, okay, how much paint do I need um, to work in this area? Um, and I still have issues with it. And sometimes when I go to a smaller plate, I put on too much paint. So copper, copper, copper. And again, this is on the wet strength tissue. This piece right here. I'm going to give it a little bit more frottage because I'm loving that it's pulling up stuff off the Yupo, giving us some grungy, grungy. Okay. Look at that. With the green. Isn't that beautiful? It's so good. With that dark green. Wear that to the Oscars. Let me tell you what. Okay. Let's see. To that. Oh, no, all that to the side. Place some of these heavy body paints. This is the light blue permanent heavy body by Liquitex Professional. You can't find hearts to send up, well, you can type it in the chat. That's okay, Carla. Don't you worry. All right, so I purposely put the very thin layer of this paint here. Try and act as a maybe kind of give us a little bit of a grungier effect. Hi, Melanie. The universe is saying that you belong here, I guess. I don't know. That is a beautiful paint. Definitely one of those that you want in your collection. The blah 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 blah. What is that color again? Light blue permanent. I always have issues saying that the name of this paint. I also have it in the just the basics. So this is a heavy body. This is the basic, which is more like it's like medium body. Then they also have a line of soft body paints, which soft body paints, they're a tough nugget to crack. They can dry super fast. I remember I bought a set when I first started gel printing, and I had a lot of issues because I didn't realize how quickly they dried, especially the blue. So I'd get a lot of stuck paper. No, this particular paper is the Carnival Wet Strength. This one here is a medical exam paper. We do have some though. Let's move that out of the way. Let's get. I'll do a print on some medical exam paper here. All right. So. Gonna do some I'll do a print with some black ink. A little black. With that black, I'm going to do a little metallic. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? No. How about this bronze? Here we go. Bronzy. Becky says soft body, just like me. All right. Let's get some medical exam paper. This is what that is. Now, since I do have a lot more layers of paint on the stencil, uh, I am more comfortable giving this a nice rub over without having to fear of it sticking. If it does start to stick, you just go at it from a different angle. Sometimes that helps before you completely, abandon ship. But look at, oh, this is grunge-tastic. Look at that. Yeah, the medical exam paper is great for collaging. Um, but you can get some really good prints. I've gotten some really good prints with the medical exam paper. It's just a matter of, I think it's practice. But you do have to keep in mind that usually when you let it dry on the plate, you're going to get a lot of that wrinkling, like I showed earlier on the other print that I pulled of my nephew's, where it left behind all kinds of stuff on here. But that, I think, is just part of that's the nature of the medical exam paper. Try and get some of these little extra inner bits unclogged, so they're not so they're more detailed. God, loving it. Awesome, Jamie. Glad you did. For every order you place today, for every order you place today, you can I'll get a free gift from PM Artist Studio. It's like Tupperware. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. That's a joke. Yanker before abandoning ship. Yep, that's right. All right. I heard yellow ochre in the chat, or I saw it in the chat. So I'm gonna give this for this. This is for you, Zal. She likes her yellow ochre. Let's get her yellow ochred. And with the black and bronze on here, it's gonna look so good. Remember when I first started going to PM Artist Studio, I'd being a menace in the chat because they would talk about doing giveaways. I'm like, yeah, they're giving away a free car. I'm still waiting on my car. I know it was you. Okay, look at that. Loverly. We'll do a couple more prints on here, and then I got to get the other one. You got to put a layer of paint on the other one to pull it. All right, let's use some of this quinacridone magenta. Almost the end of that one. I want to pull this, do a print on some hammermill paper. Here's your car. Here's your sign. Y'all know that comedian? Here's your sign. Hi, Heather. Yeah, this is what we call it's the process of a long haul. I'm not doing a long haul today. I'd call this a mini haul. But yeah, you can leave that stencil down and create yourself some wonderful, wonderful grunge on your prints and create very unique gel prints. Look at that. Ain't that pretty? Let's see if I can get any of this stuff on the edges. Ingersoll, Bob? Who's that? Carla, you okay? You been drinking, girl? There's some paint left on the brayer. I love that. That turned out really cool. Let's get some metallic. Do a metallic one. This here, metallic magenta. Metallics are also a unique creature in that they tend to dry faster than a regular paint. So, got to keep that in mind as well, because you don't want to, because you just want to know how it's gonna react with the paper you're using, and also how much time you have to get it all down. Yeah, Jeff Foxworthy here. Was it Jeff Foxworthy? Here's your sign. No, it wasn't Jeff Foxworthy. Jeff Foxworthy was the jalapeno on a steak. No, Jeff Foxworthy was with another one. Oh God. But Jeff Foxworthy is funny too. But look at that metallic. Love that. Big Bill Engvall. Yes. Here's your sign. And you have a pretty brayer. We use metallic paints to pick up stuff left on like it's usually kind of sticky. Yeah, you can do that. Yep. We're going with some ultramarine blues because there's still a lot of metallic left on here. And we'll do one final print with this before I pull the stencil. Oh, yes, that's a good tip, Mariah. When you're using a brayer for the first time or a stencil for the first time, if you like to keep it clean and get it back to its original state, don't let a metallic be the first paint you use because it will not come off or it'll be very difficult to get off. The metallics tend to stay forever. This is wet strength tissue here because I want to try and get as much of this up off the stencil as I can. Then I think it'd be fun to play around and do maybe a couple prints with layers, like layered prints. And I'm going to bring back the tiger motif stencil. That's pretty. It's very much so pretty. Yeah. Got this one here, I can put back down and see what else I can add to it. I do have a Baron. I always forget to use it. But this is a good tool to have too to burnish your prints. Also, it saves your hands from undue stress if you're doing a lot of gel printing or if you just have hand troubles. It avoids any undue stress to the wrists and stuff. Yeah, no, they used to tour together. Yeah. Look at how nicely that lined up. Now this is a unicorn. This is definitely unicorn print. Look at how beautiful that is. Hi Laura, how are you? Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up so we can let that dry, and then we can pull a print off of that. I'm gonna put this to dry. I don't have a lot of room. You can go there. Doing good here, Laura. Getting painty with some pals and just making fun prints. All right, so for this one, yeah, Larry the Cable Guy. Yep. So let's get a paint on here. I think for this one, I'm gonna go with my with the gold here. With this is metallic yellow gold. So I'm gonna pull it on just regular hammer mill, but I'm gonna need to give myself a guide here. So I'm gonna put a piece of the paper under here, sort of guide me as to where to put the paint. And if you're not sure what this is that I have my plate on, this is plexiglass. So it helps me store the plates, transport them to the shelf back to my desk, but also it supports the plates and they're not super thick. This one's about a quarter, a little less, it's about an eighth of an inch thick. Um, and you can get them cut down to size for the ones for the plates that you have. Um, go to your local hardware store, make friends with the person in the window department or whatever, and they can usually help you out and cut it down to size for you. You want to give yourself enough room on the size of it to give yourself a handle. to be able to move it. Home Depot can go kick rocks because that's not cool. This is why I like local mom and pop shop hardware stores. There aren't many, unfortunately, but you know. Now on Amazon, you can get pre-cut, obviously. Um, but that's a good way to get to know your neighbors. Maybe there's a neighbor you have that's handy and can cut it for you. Always, good way to get to know the neighborhood. Find the local handyman. That's what's good about, I think, the groups in Facebook that are like town specific. Like we have one for Jamaica Plain where I grew up. There's one here for Taunton where I'm in now. And people will go in and say, hey, I have this situation. Can you recommend somebody? And people will help each other out in with those things. So that might be a good way to find someone in your neighborhood that has cutting equipment for plexiglass. This is gonna be so very beautiful. Jeff Dunham is the honest stick, yeah. Look at that. It's gonna be awesome. Okay. Dry. It's dry enough. Yeah, I think this is dry enough. Here we go. All right, so this is what we're looking at here. Just go this way so we can see what we've got. It's hard to see, but it's kind of like Mardi Gras colors. What's going on there? So I'm open to suggestions for a pull color. Well, Zal, some places they just want your money. They don't care about service anymore. And they are a supporter of the current regime, if that helps explain why they're the way they are. My most beautiful print inspired by Patricia, Carla says. I used an iridescent first, then a metallic, then an opaque, layering both of Eddie's mayhem. Ooh, look at you, fancy, fancy. Miss Carla, I love that. Yeah, the cutting tool, yeah. Well, try what I suggested of going to your neighborhood Facebook page and see if you can find somebody that way. Mhm. Get to know your companies and who they are supporting. They're not always supporting who you think they should be. I didn't know it, but I worked for a company for 6 years whose CEO supported Jeffrey Epstein. Just saying. I met the guy twice. It still sends shivers up my spine. All right. I'm thinking I'm not seeing colors here. Not seeing colors in the chat. So I'm gonna go with a huh. I see it. This is a color that Karen sent me to try out. Ultramarine light. I'm gonna pull it with this color. I think it's gonna set it off quite nicely, and it's gonna make for really pretty print. We don't mind pretty here. I am going to use the Yasutomo sketch paper for this one. I think it's a good idea. Take care, Martha. Thanks for hanging. Well, this is sort of like a Titan buff. It's a blue buff. I'll nickname this one Blue Buff. Blue buff. It's the new color you didn't think you needed. Blue buff. Thank you, Mariah. I know I felt something tingling up in my brain. Oh my God, lots of folks. Yeah. Mm. We're not going to talk about that, Miss Carla. We're gonna leave that for the call and for other channels. Just wanted to make the point that corporations are not always your friend. For sure, for sure. That's gonna be so pretty. And don't forget the plate's a little yellow from use and stuff, but I think that I think it's gonna be super, super yummy. I'm gonna give this just a going over with this here, Baron. It's wanting to wrinkle. Mariah put her fingers to her temples and she rubbed and rubbed and rubbed and said, Eddie, use that color. No, not that one, the other one. Yeah, that one. You are one. I think we can pull this one. 7 for the call. Oh, this is so good. And this was the one that I pulled on the Hammer Mill color copy paper. It's simple, but it's so, so beautiful. Look at that. I always love looking closely. It's always fun stuff you can see when you look closely at the print. Who's Jean Grey? Give me some details. I don't know who Jean Grey is. Is that a psychic? A psychotic? Some kind of medium? I know in the UK they used to have a Derek Acora, but they haven't heard a lot from him since he died, so don't know what's up with him. Did you get that joke? All right, let's do a couple of. She's from X-Men. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm not a big like. I don't usually watch those sorts of films. I was always the guy who watched who would go to the movie theater and find the more obscure films to watch. Like that was me. Still is kind of. I tend to not watch the mainstream stuff right away. But that's just me. All right, what do we have here? Gonna use this green. This is a vivid lime green heavy body. So we'll try a couple of like layered prints. So we'll have to allow things to dry, but that's okay. I don't like how this paint spreads. Okay. So we're not pulling prints. We're gonna just put this layer of paint down and then pull the stencil, allow that to dry, and then we can come back in and you can either layer another stencil design over that once it's dry and do, um, or put just a final color and pull that with a pull that. You see, that's what we're looking at here. Sorry about that ring light. I've been looking at different lighting options, and I need to get rid of this ring light because for gel printing, it's just not ideal. I might end up just getting a couple of like clip-on lights, and that'll come in like this way as opposed to from up here. Why did my Safari close? That's really weird. Sorry, guys, I'm talking to myself. Gotta check something out. Okay. Yeah, because I get comments on it, and people are like, and I'm like, you don't understand. It's not as easy as you think. We don't all have the funding or the setup to. I'm gonna see if I can get a flop off here. It's probably dried. To to do it as professionally as you'd like, considering this is a free service we offer. Yeah, not much left on there to flop off. Here. All right, let's do another one. All right, guys, what color do you want to see on this one? Used a lot of greens today, more so than usual. Dioxazine, green gray. I don't have green gray. I can make a green gray. Let's see. I saw violet. Okay, we'll do violet now because I've been doing green. So we'll do the dioxazine purple. Do a layer of that. This is the normal size dioxazine purple. But if you want to be like Karen and be all extra, you can get one that's like this big. I always got to bring it up, Karen. I love you. We're gonna let that dry. She's cussing me out right now. Saying, you fool. Talking about my paint. All right, let's flop this over onto there and rub on there. Size do matter. And that's a flop off. Hey. That's ooh, good flop off. Good flop off. Um, love that. All right, let's see. Where are we here? Oh, I gotta clean this thing off. Well, yeah, I can do another layer, Carla. I'll do another layer with the metallic magenta. That'll be fabulous. This one's dry. And that's another thing is I am not doing thick layers so it can dry a little quicker. It's probably not dry 100%, but we can let's think about colors. I'm going to do another layer. Um, put the stencil down. But see, this is one of those stencils, it's a repeat pattern. So either way, it's going to be the same. Let's see, what do I have available? That's handy. Baby. Nope, that's for next month. Yeah, I got my new one for next month. It's gonna look so cool. It's gonna look so good. Ah, come on. Here, I have my Flores Geométricas here. That will. We're gonna go over this right here. Put it down this way. And over that. What do I have here? Hi, Cindy. How are you? Yellow. This is Cad Yellow Medium. Now, this step is risky because the paint didn't dry as long as it probably should. So I run the risk of pulling up some of that green, but I'm gonna risk it anyway, just for timing's sake. That's not bad. It worked out pretty good. So we've got that going on. That's 2 layers. And I think I can get a nice flop off on here. Oh, NCAA basketball. Ugh, great. My brother will be watching that crap tonight. Sorry, I don't do sports, especially basketball. Thank you, Cindy. I'm doing great. Thank you. Flop it off. How's this? All right, this one's dry. So I saw earlier Sandy in the chat said offset the stencil. So let's do that with this. We're gonna offset this so goes probably there we go. That's good. Good offset. All right, so Oh, I forgot I had this one. This is a red, vivid red orange. Let's do some of that. Now, here's the thing with these two colors, though. It's going to brown out the purple, but that can create a really cool color for you. And from what I'm noticing here, it's not a super opaque orange, which is nice. So it shouldn't really brown it out too much, meaning the purple. But I think that's going to look really cool. Hello, Carol. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I'm going to flop that off onto this paper here. It's a really nice color, though. This orange, the red, vivid red orange, I think it's called. Heavy body, vivid red orange. And it does have the open square on it, so it is a transparent color. So, see, it's good when you take your time and observe what's going on with your paints. You can usually figure it out without having to look on your package, but there's always important info on those. Eddie, I just bought a new plate, a 10 by 8 by 10, 5 by 7. Awesome, Carol. Did you buy the gel press? Those are great. Gel press are good. Oh, here's the other purple. Yeah, that's nice and dry. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Let's see for this one. There was it was magenta, the metallic magenta. This one is from Miss Carla. And let's do that offset thing again. Offset like that. Yes, yes. Don't forget to give that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to chat in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed. And turn on all notifications so you get notified when I go live, which is usually like, unfortunately, it's a last minute thing with my setup, but I usually try to notify people. Like, I usually try to set it up like 2 hours before I go on, depending on the day. All right. I think so. I'm in the shop running a laser. Okay. Running a laser. Ooh, look at that. That's going to be so good, Carla. And these Liquitex metallics, the new ones, they have such a beautiful finish. They leave a nice, soft, satiny finish. Okay. Take care, Melanie. Thanks for stopping by. That's pretty dry. So we got to do a pull color. Let's figure out we need a pull color for that. But first I want to flop off that stencil. Where is that? Just gonna keep flopping off on here. And maybe this on this plate we can create something really cool. All these layers. Nice. So this will be the layer building plate. Okay, so let's talk about paint for this one. Liquitex copper thick. Use some either airbrush medium. I would maybe try and decant it into a different container. Mix up your the copper with some extender or acrylic retarder, or some airbrush medium or glazing medium. That would work. Maybe a little bit of water. Try that. Hi, Amy. I'm liking these colors. What does Sal say? I'm liking those colors together. Orange and purple complementary across from each other in color wheel. Yeah. I'm trying to picture the color wheel. I can't picture it in my head right now. Well, they're kind of up. Yeah, they're kind of like sort of like oranges, reds, and then violets like over here, kind of. All right, so I usually have one around here, Zal, and I don't know what I did with it. Somewhere filed away. All right, this one's a toughie. Like, I want to use yellow, but the yellow can also brown out the violet. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use permanent rose. See what happens. Yes, the orange is transparent. Now, I may lose this orange with the rose, but we got to experiment. Let's see what we think. Yeah, thick there. Swoosh it around. There you go. Thanks, Mariah. Get you a color wheel from PM Artist Studio. We should get the edges first. Those love to dry before the rest of the plate. Let's see here. Lost some of the orange, but it's still there. And the purple is not necessarily browned out. It's because it's a pink color, the rose color. It's not going to change the purple too much. But I think this will be a fun print. Really party. think this one's ready for the pulling. Can I get a yanker up in here? This is the wood rose print that I pulled with the telepathically sent color ultramarine light. Oh, pretty. Look at that. It's so nice. You can really see all the colors that we used. I'm going to be needing to buy a full size of that paint. So, if you didn't see, hi, Dawn, how are you? So, this is the paint that we pulled this print with. It's Ultramarine Light number 505 from Amsterdam, the Standard Series. Arctic Blue would have been a good one too, Sandy. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Oh, I'm really loving that. It's so good. Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. Dawn, I'm glad you can make it. Um, all right, there's paper on there. That doesn't mean any. It's over here. Let's see if we can get this one done. All right. Still a little bit wet in the yellow. Yeah, that yellow's taking forever to dry. No, I don't have Nightbot set up for the color, unfortunately. Nightbot's not working for me. It's being a temperamental itch. That's for sure. Actually, I accidentally learned that the complementary colors are two primary colors mixed together with complement. Yep. Yeah. Once you get to know those basics, like you can really do a lot with that. All right, now for this one, green and yellow. What are we thinking here for a pull color? I have a thought, but I'm gonna wait for you guys' thoughts to see what you say. Got violet oxide, blue, copper metallic, Arctic blue. Do. Deep purple. Now, here's the thing with the deep purple. It's gonna brown out these two colors. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Azo gold. Hang with me. I think this is going to be something that will be exciting. Yes, I'm going to use the carnival tissue. Hi, Carolyn. I know I said, I asked for colors and stuff, but it's a good exercise, I think, for all of us to like look at stuff and go, okay, what color is going to go with what? Um, I just decided to go with my gut on that one. Azo Gold. This is the Azo Gold. This is by Golden Fluid Acrylic. It's a transparent color. And here's the lesson. Look at that. The green is great. It kind of blurred out some of the yellow, but what it did was it intensified the shade of the yellow, like the orange. So it's once we pull this, you'll be able to see it better. Unfortunately, I didn't put enough paint down. I don't think. I think that's the problem here. So, we all make boo-boos, but that's neither here nor there. And then we have for this one. So I think for this one, I think blue. I've heard a lot of blue talk. I think this is the one we're going to use the blue. Where's my Arctic? Here we go. Yeah, this one definitely is going to get the Arctic blue. A bit more. This one. I use that tea bag paper, but it's not. I'm going to get a sheet of this tea bag paper here on the floor. Yeah, we go stay on the floor. I'm going to go smooth side down on this paper. Get the bear in here. Okay, you could go put a layer of the matte gloss medium over the back of the paper and with a paint, let it dry. Yes, definitely, Laura. Thank you for reminding me. You can definitely do that. Right, I'm going to trim off this excess here. Oh, no. That's gonna look so pretty. No, remember the color of the plate is kind of distracting the actual color that you're gonna see. Um, but I think it's gonna be real pretty. Again, this is tea bag paper that I got in some Happy Mail from Graham. It's thicker than the other tea bag paper I've used. Definitely thicker. So see how that works. This one should be good to go. This is the one we pulled with the permanent rose. Isn't that pretty? It's subtle. Like I like that it made the purple stand out more, but you still got that cool effect of the offset. Very much so pretty. All right, let's do some layers with the permanent, or the permanent, with the wood rose stencil. Do that. All right, Karen. Don't work too hard. Don't don't move. Sorry, I'm talking to my stuff. I need a drinky poo. Mm-mm-mm. Actually, I'm going to put down a layer of blue paint. Got here. This is primary blue. And let's throw in some of this. We got here. This is a phthalo. This one's a little thicker than the other one. What I'm going to do, take a little spatula, mix them up, and I'm going to get a little bit of extender because I don't want this to dry too fast. You see, I'm adding it into the paint and not directly on the plate. Earlier I said mix it on a separate plate, but you know, I just thought of this, so this is the extender. But so if you're gonna do it right on the plate, just make sure you add it to the paint and not directly to the plate. Yeah, I'm gonna do a couple prints and then head out. I have to do some adulting myself, which is boo. We don't like that. All right, so I'm gonna pull the paint through this. I want to leave behind the outline of the stencil. I'm gonna use some Carnival wet strength tissue. Put this over it to get it up. Get that beautiful combo. Very pretty. And I guess with this one here, I can just pick up the rest of that. towel. Make sure I get into all the nooks and crannies. That's all I'm gonna get out. But there we got some extra papers to play with. All right. That needs to dry. And then I can do a pull on that. May not get to it because I added that extender to it, but that's okay. Let's see how this one's doing. Yeah. This might need a little treatment of the medium because, yeah, I didn't get a lot of paint on here. All right, so here's another quick lesson for you, kids. This happens. Don't pull your print all the way off. Get your gloss medium. Yeah, a brayer that doesn't have wet paint on it. I'm gonna put down some gloss medium. You could use your matte medium if that's what you have. And I'm gonna spread out a thin layer here. This is gonna act as a glue to get up the rest of that paint that didn't come up because I didn't put enough paint down. This is what Laura was talking about earlier in the chat. I think this is what she was talking about earlier in the chat. All right, and then I'll get at it from the other side. So when I get all this down and it dries and I pull the print, it should all come up. And so this is one I got to be patient with. Let it dry completely. And if you want to see photos, I've been posting photos from the live streams in the PM Artist Studio Makers group on Facebook, Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists. There's a link for that in the description box to the video. So if you've not been over there, check it out. It's a fun group. We share over there and do fun events like the collage prompts, color combo. You find all that over there. This is gloss gel medium. Pretty collaged. Oh, yes, Carla. Yes. All right. So that's going to need to completely dry, no interruption, and then we should be able to get all that up onto the paper. All right, let's see this tea bag paper. Oh, look at that. This is the one with the Arctic purple, the Arctic blue, dioxazine purple, and the magenta in the metallic. So pretty. Very nice. And I love the effect of offsetting the stencil. Very good. Very pretty. Okay. Oh. let's do a print on here with the wood rose. Gotta hunt a gnome. Okay, Carla, you go gnome hunting. All right, wood rose, wood rose. I haven't done any red. Let's do some red. That is Pyrrole red. I love that color. It's such a good red. Again, that was the Liquitex Pyrrole red. All right, Mariah, take care. I'll see you later. Thank you for your help. It's very much appreciated. Isn't that lovely? Lovely purple. I mean, red. That's going to be good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and flop off on here and keep adding to this, the layers on that plate. And let me start going over some of the prints the prints we've done today, and then we can finish up on the other prints. This one's going to be really cool. Again, this is one of those that I'll have to finish up off camera, but I'll post pictures in Makers. Is this plate empty? Oh yeah, here. Let's go ahead and just add some more. Let's do another layer here. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I'm gonna do this purple here. This is bright purple. Because why not? So I hope you got some good info today. We got back to basics, especially towards the beginning of the video, where I explained a lot of the basic things on gel printing that I know, that I've learned. Hopefully will help you all. Ooh, I messed that up, but some of the red came off too. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, unfortunately, it's the plate is yellowish, so but look, it's so pretty. It's a great color. This will have to flop off on the tissue because I don't have another plate to flop off onto at the moment. Get that. Oh, see, look, transferred right onto there. Oh, it's my pleasure, Lucy. Oh, look at that. All right, so we got that beauty. Set this over here. Let's see what we got. Go away. You can go away. Stuff out of the way here. All right. Here's some of our prints from today. Just pulled that one. We do its gold. It's the one with the festive green. No, that's a cool texture there. And this one I did on the Yasutomo paper. Really cool and grungy. With copper. And this is the one where I initially used the paper as a pickup with light blue permanent, and then had some magenta left over on another plate, and I picked that up with same paper. That's what created that really cool effect. Here's one with that metallic magenta and ultramarine blue. This is quinacridone magenta. That's a pretty one. This was with the yellow ochre, black and bronze, I believe that was. This was the violet oxide, ultramarine. And the ultramarine kind of has a matte finish to it. It does have a pretty matte finish to it. And these are this was, I did a cleanup of my nephew was working on yesterday. And then this was another one I did with the green gold fluid acrylic that created this really cool blooms on the gel plate that we were able to capture. Here's the one we did after doing several prints with the wood rose stencil, and then I allowed that to dry, and we pulled it with the ultramarine light. Oh, thank you, Carla. Karen, that's very sweet. This is the pull we just did from that blue mix. This pretty one we did with the Arctic blue on the tissue on the tea bag paper. Very much so pretty. Apologies, these are all curling up, but what happens with paper? It's one of our green ones. I love this one. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Lucy. And what I'll do is I'll put these under a heavy book, get them to flatten out. This is one of the first ones where we mixed some yellow and I believe magenta, maybe. It was the heavy body magenta and the heavy body yellow. This was the quinacridone burnt orange. More of that fabulous magenta metallic. And here's one that we pulled on some carnival tissue and those screws. My brayer offs. All right, let me get this pile out of the way. Let's see if there's anything I can continue doing before I go. So I think these are still, this needs a little more time to dry. Yeah. This needs a little more time, definitely. You can see how shiny that is. But these are two that I'll be working on after the stream. Yes, it's called tea bag paper. There's all kinds of brands and stuff. Just be sure to read the descriptions, and they'll tell you like the weight and the thickness. And I always like to go into the user reviews too, because you'll get some good information on there from people who have used it before. This one here. This is dry. I can add another layer on this one, and want to do it with the same stencil but in a different position. Think we could do that. There we go. All right, so this is a different position of the stencil, so we'll get a different layout of the design. And with that blue, let me see here. I am going to do the lime green. Yeah, I was saying earlier, the tea bag paper I've used before, it was a lot thinner than this particular one that Graham sent me. But there's no name brand or anything, so I can't tell you any of that, unfortunately. But yeah. Cooperate. It's cooperate. That's gonna be so nice. You see how cool that looks? You get the lines from the design, and then you get um the innards too, but in a different position. So it gives you a really cool effect to the print. All right, so then once that dries, I'll have to pull that. I don't know what color with you though, but I think that is well where we will leave it. I'm gonna see if I can get a nice flop off on here. Paint up both sides of the paper. Why not? Because then we get a double-sided print. Hi, Lynn. So thank you everybody for joining me today. I had fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm so happy I can come to you live and show off some of this stuff. Yeah, watch the replay. There's a lot of great info at the beginning, and some fun printing throughout. So thank you everybody. Don't forget to hit the like button if you have not yet. I will see you later. Don't forget, today at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central is the PM Artist Studio live stream. That's where I will be at 4 p.m. And until then, love you. Take care. Smile at a stranger. Bye.